name, spell it, please. And
Stephen Francis, Stephen Francis.
and that's a typical Francis.
Yeah.
And your title, absolute title here.
Here, as in
Yeah, as for the organization.
university.
Yes.
Well, I'm the technical director of the UTech track and field, and also of the MVP track club program. Yeah.
Coach, within the last few years, the Jamaican team, when they show up on the track, now it makes everyone's blood pressure go up. It's very exciting now to see the Jamaicans show up on the track, even though it always has been, but now recently it's just always something exciting. What would you attribute that the recent rise in speed to?
Well, I think it's a couple of things. Back in 1999, I used to always be speaking to other coaches, and I used to keep statistics about the success rate of Jamaican athletes when they go to U.S. colleges. Yeah, and I thought at the time that it was not as good as it should be. That there were factors which I felt could be overcome if the athletes were to be trained locally. I was almost alone in that opinion because most people felt that, one, there was no money in Jamaica to carry out a program of local preparation, and two, that the coaches in Jamaica were not good enough to carry these athletes to make the transition from juniors to senior level with success. My argument to them was that, well, a lot of the coaches at the universities that we send kids to, they are not that good anyway. And secondly, that in East Africa, in Kenya and Ethiopia in particular, they have developed a program of local preparation, even though their resource base is probably even less than Jamaica in terms of, I'm sure that they have even less money, less technical equipment and so on. So it so happened that I got the opportunity to coach Bridget Foster. She came and asked me if I could prepare her, because at the time her circumstance, she had just left college, and her circumstances was such that she wanted to relocate, to come back to Jamaica, but so she needed to have a coach, and I think I was her second or third choice. And during the year 2000 she improved a lot, and then of course I began to realize that we could really do what I thought we could do if we focused on what the positives were as opposed to what was not available. I mean, they may not have been great equipment, and they may not have been a great tractor training and so on, but I thought that we could make a go of it. And at first it was very, very hard because there were a lot of naysayers, a lot of the people who seem to be so for it were heavily against it and accused me of trying to destroy the athletes' careers and so on. But eventually, Asafa came on board, because at the time we could only convince those kids who had no other options. You know, and I felt, okay, well, if you try and start with those people who are not going to get a scholarship anyway, then, you know, we could see what we could do with those people. And then, knowing Jamaicans, you know, once they see success, then you will start to get your financing and so on. And
So you're saying
you know,
the reason for this success is people
that is
staying
part.
home.
That is part of it. You know, so that is how we ended up with people like Shelley and Fraser, with Asafa, with people like Parchment. You know, those people who were not obvious winners. And then secondly, of course, the other is that we have people in now like Bolt and Blake and Veronica in particular, who I think were better than the normal, better than the usual high schoolers who Jamaica had had in the past. You know, so I don't think that Bolt had to stay in Jamaica to do what he's doing now, nor Blake. But the fact that they came along at this point in time, I think, is the other explanation. The part of the explanation that the super talent is now more available in this era than it was in previous eras. And I mean, it might change very soon. You know, but at the moment we are enjoying the fact that Bolt and Blake in particular
And I've noticed the
are
money,
born in this era. Yeah.
and I've noticed the money's coming in with the sponsors. When you arrive in the airport, there's Shelley and Fraser pictures, and Bolt, and
Yeah. Now it becomes easier in general, and especially once you're doing well. You know, then it becomes easier to convince somebody that they should sponsor a kid who is trying, because they have seen examples of it being done in the recent past. Yeah.
and IAAF High Performance Training Center, things of that nature.
Well, that has also contributed, you know, because it certainly was a factor in the development of Yassine and Blake and so on. So, you know, that has been a huge contributing factor as well.
One more question, Coach. The upcoming World Relay Championships. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I think it's a good concept. I think it's just bad timing. I think it probably should have been at the end of the season. You know, when people are less afraid of running. I mean, a lot of people tend to be scared of sprinting in May. You know, they're either, a lot of Europeans are just are in preparation for their outdoor season, having put a lot of emphasis on indoor. You know, so and in a lot of places in Europe, it's still cold, so they've just begun training outdoors. So it can be different. The date can be a bit, I think, could be used looking at. You know, I think it would have been better in September or just after Brussels or something like that. You know, but I think the concept is very, very good, and because relays are certainly on this side of the world, the engine that drives spectator support of the sport. You know, in North America, in the Caribbean, people love to see relays. I mean, the only time they'll probably watch a lot of 800s is if there's a 4x800 and so on. So, you know, it's a very, very good concept, and I think if the participation grows, then I think it will be more or less a permanent fixture.
One more question.
That's all right, boss. It's gone down here.
Oh.
It's okay, it just keeps the wind up.
Speaking of the World Relay Championships, 4x1, 4x2, how excited are you about Jamaica's chances?
Well, I think it's going to depend a lot, I think, on who is ready to compete. on who is going to make themselves available. You know, it will be less of a novel idea for us, or because we would have just have done the pen relays, sold the Americans. You know, so it's. I'm not sure how strong a team Jamaica will have, but you know, it is a lot of athletes I think are looking forward to it, and I think that they are excited, and as a consequence, you know, I think we'll have a very good event in the Bahamas.
Okay, Coach, thank you very much.
Coach, if you may just some questions. Yes.
I know you like
Yeah.
the chair.
I want to talk to you particularly about Julian Ford. Exceptional talent, and he is considered by many to be part of that next batch of Jamaican sprinters who are going to do really well, maybe even this season. What's your thoughts on his progression? I know he had some injury problems last year. How is he doing physically and from a technical perspective?
Well, so far so good. You know, he like most high schoolers, you know, you have to be very careful when they come out of high school, because there's a different emphasis in the preparation, you know, and if they continue in the same way, they would have long-term damage. So you know, you expect to have hiccups in the first couple of years, but I think this year he is going to perform very well. So far, the signs are very good, you know, based on his running in the relays, and based on his 400 meters that he ran last week. So, you know, I think this, with some luck, will be a very good season for him.
How has he done? How difficult was it for him to get over the mental?
No,
That injury at the World Juniors and stuff.
I think that passed a long time ago. You know, it's. I think he has overcome that, and I think he's now looking forward to the future and what that will hold for him.
Just continuing on your first point, it's Champs Week, and you said that sometimes athletes are suggested, sometimes athletes are pushed a little too much.
No, I didn't say that. I
But
said
do you
there.
believe that coaches sometimes go overboard where, you know, the preparation of athletes for champs is concerned?
I am very. But my answer to that question is not like most other people. Each coach in Jamaica in high schools is paid by their schools, who they work with, and their job is to do as much as well for the school with the people who the school has as students as they can. It is not their job to hold back and to keep athletes for a national program. You know, if that is what is wanted, that's what the J Trader could desire, then they need to boost these coaches' stipends and say, okay, we will give you an extra amount of money, and because we want you to be thinking about the national program as you coach these kids. So, you know, any coach is going to want to do the best for his or her school with the athletes he or she has. And, you know, so it is, with that in mind, you know, I don't think if you do something as a coach which somebody thinks is not in the interest of the kid in 10 years' time, I don't think the coach should be really concerned about this. That said, it would be nicer if there was not such an emphasis on current performances. I mean, I see that ISA is trying to bring in under 13 and boys. I mean, and that is going to be a big problem, because the kind of preparation which is going on now extended to some kids who are 12 and 13, I think will probably not have good results for the youngsters. Because it is one of the saddest things to see somebody who was extremely good at class 3 or class 2, and when he or she is 19 or 20, they're saying, boy, I was good at one time, you know, and you know, injuries got to me or whatever it is. You know, it is tend to be hard for them to deal with that, and it is while not everybody will be able to be as good, very good at the senior level, you know, deep down, a lot of the athletes strive for that, you know, and it's a very ticklish situation. What do you do with a youngster who is 14 years old and who he wants to win a chance. You want him to win a chance. His parents want him to win a chance. So how do you balance trying to get him to be as fast as he can possibly be versus trying to prepare him as you should prepare a 14-year-old? You know, it's a very, very, very delicate balance, and so you'll find that a lot of the kids who do well in this current environment are not going to make a transition past what they're doing now. But I don't see anything wrong with it, because you know that is the system that we have. I mean, we have enough people around that you can afford to lose a couple because they want their glory now, as opposed to 3, 4, 5, 6 years time.
Of course, we're featuring Shannon Price, the brightest star at the current moment. How pleased are you with how she has progressed, particularly the last couple of years, and where do you see her ceiling, if any at all?
Well, Shelley, what Shelley has done, which has pleased me most, is that she has not. I think she has mastered the trick of staying good. You know, it is. I tell them all the way that it is far easier to be good, to get good, than to stay good. You know, it is easier because it is easier to be a number one, to get to number one, than to stay there. You know, and there are a lot of natural factors which mitigate against you or militate against you staying at number one. You know, a lot of things are pushing you downward, but I think she has managed to conquer those things and to have herself focus, develop a mindset which keeps her where she is. You know, she does everything that she used to do to an even greater extent. You know, there's hardly anything that she does now which she wasn't doing when she was a freshman at UTEP. You know, so I mean that to me is her biggest achievement, and if she can keep it up, then I don't know how much limit she's going to have, because you know she is always willing to work. She's always willing to do what needs to be done. She's always willing. She is not very concerned about enjoying the fruits of her success, as opposed to making sure that she continues to be successful.
Now, she has indicated that she is interested in memorial days and the Commonwealth Games as well. I mean, decided whether or not those are going to be allowed.
No, well, definitely she is going to run, if selected, at least one relay at the where relay. It's a bit tight because she'll be in Shanghai and she has to come back from China to Bahamas, but it's something which, I mean, I think that athletes have a duty. Well, I think they should be required, rather, to support the major events in the sport. But You know, I mean, athletics is not a sport as currently structured, which forces people to compete. But you know, I think that you still have a duty to help. You know, not only for yourself, but to understand that, okay, if your country is sending a team and if it is not going to be a way out of your training regime and so on, then, you know, by all means you go, you try and do your best. You let them know, so, well, I might not be in the best of shape, but, you know, if I'm available. So I think that, you know, she's going to make herself available. The Commonwealth Games was a little bit trickier because it comes right in the time when she normally is in a reasonably tough midsummer training regime. But I'm sure she will be there for at least the relay, you know, at the Commonwealth Games. You know, so those are the plans as far as those two are concerned right now.
I don't have the questions, but Shelley, we keep giving her new assignments and she keeps knocking them out of the park. 200 meters, gold medal for her soon. 60 meters, again, gold medal after about 5 or 8 or so trials at the event. What's next? Do you see her maybe trying something as a near future?
Well, I think the most pressing thing for her now is to be the first woman to win 3 gold medals in the 100 meters. And secondly, to try and see if she can run the double in Brazil. I mean, that is, I think, the big goal for her. Of course, that is not going to depend on her alone, you know, because, you know, as good as she may be, somebody might be better. But she, I think, over the next couple of years, will be working towards that particular goal, and then we'll see what happens.
Is she already the greatest Jamaican female sprinter?
I don't think there's any question that certainly as far as championships and so on, she's the greatest female sprinter in the world, in the history of the world, certainly over the 100 meters. You know, no other woman has done what she has done. And, you know, hopefully over the next 2 years, she has been very unlucky with wind. You know, she has never had races with plus 1.5 and plus 1.8 and that kind of stuff. And certainly no races with plus 5.2, which ends up at 0. You know, so that she can run 10:48 or whatever it is. But you know, if she gets luckier with races, I mean, because she has run, I mean, the run she did in Zurich last year, I think, I mean, could have been, I mean, with a decent win, a 10.5 high race and so on. But if she gets luckier, then she will have the super times to go with it. But, you know, she can only run where she runs, you know, and if the breeze decides that it's not going to blow when she's running, then, you know, she just has to accept it. But hopefully she'll get rid of these headwinds soon.
Yeah.
Coach, I heard you mention something about the time of the World Relays being a bad time. You still support your athletes?
Bad time, no, it's a bad time, I think, primarily for Europeans.
No.
You know, and of course the European presence is necessary. You know, but for them, I think it's the start. It's barely the start of their outdoor season. So
you still support your athletes, no matter what time it is. No matter what time it is, you still support your athletes.
No. I mean, my athletes will be available as long as they're healthy. You know, and so if it means we have to make certain adjustments and so on. As I said, there's a meet in Shanghai 5 days before, and so we're going to have to I mean, it means we're going to have to miss training for a week and so on. But you know, that's something that we have to do, and we will do it because this is necessary.
Coach, how do you get to manage such a large group of athletes?
Well, there is a over the years I've developed a way of dealing with them. You know, they sometimes athletes want to believe that they have the total attention of their coach, and you know, their coach is focused on them and nobody else. But I think what happens is that it works. They get the results are good, they, even though they might not be initially happy that coach is focusing at the moment on somebody else, and not me. I think that because the results tend to be good, they get used to the style that I have, which is essentially they know they're going to hear from me when they're doing something wrong, necessarily, and not something right. So if you're doing something right most of the time, you're not going to hear I telling you that you're doing it right. But if you do it wrong, then you're going to hear me. So they have become used to it, and most of them thrive in it.
But you're quite animated at times.
Yeah, sometimes it's very wrong. But it's. I think it's the experience of having coached in high school in Jamaica, where at the time when I was coaching at Champs, our team had 70 or 80 boys, so you had to be able to deal with youngsters as young as 11 or 10 and as old as 19. So you get used to it, and it's something I enjoy because I get to see a lot of different circumstances. I get to see kids who have can't miss written right across their forehead. I get to see kids who nobody thinks can do anything. I get to see kids who are, you just have seen some out there who are really pretty bad, but it's a good mix, and they have a good vibe together, and I think it's good for all concerned.
As the season progresses and your elite athletes need maybe closer attention, do you trim your group, or do you have some of your other coaches maybe focus on the in quote unquote the lesser athletes?
Well, the track and field being a meritocracy, you'll find that as the season goes on, some of the athletes are forced to stop training. We go to Europe at the end of June every year, so of necessity, most of these people won't be here. So you have your training sessions are focused on those few people who, maybe not a few, because there's still about 20-25 people in Europe, but it's certainly not 100 or 90. But as I said, whenever there is an athlete who has problems which we need to address, then we address them. It's usually not going to take a week. It's usually just minutes or hours. So they are quite comfortable so long as they are performing well. And most of them performing well. Of course, there are going to be some people who are disgruntled if things are not going well for them. But I think overall, the system that we have works.
Final question from me, Coach. Some would say that the MVP track is in somewhat of a rebuilding phase. Lost some of the senators, for want of a better term, in the last few years. But you have shown that there is still a lot of talent here. Stephen McPherson, for instance. Carrie Russell, many expected below 11 seconds this year.
Again.
Yeah. And we spoke about Julian Ford earlier. Just speak to us about that rebuilding and some of the athletes you expect to push their heads up this year.
Well, I think I am very excited about the current kids we have here. I don't want to call any names, but I think there probably are about 7 people who I think will become world class this year. Some of them were close. Some of them will be coming from further back, but it's a very good mixture we have this year, and I think over the next 2 years, there is going to be it's difficult to replace somebody like a Million Walker or Bridget Foster Asafa Powell, but I think we'll have people who are as competitive as they are and who will have chances to win medals at the World Championships next year and Commonwealth Games this year and the Olympics after that and the World Championships after that one. You know, so I think that, you know, we even though we have suffered some losses of people who were well known, I think that we have been able to build. I mean, here we are fortunate in that we're able to build athletes from what sometimes isn't thought to be good material, and you know, and I think that plus the fact that, you know, we continue to get kids who people think are talented and so on. And I think that, you know, that ensures that we will have, I think, good representation for Jamaica and other countries as the years go by.
I did say final question, but this is my final question. Bridget Foster Hilton, I mentioned her presence, but speak to us about the importance of having someone like her, someone who's done it all at the very top, to be back, you know, giving back to youngsters like Greaves and McCarthy.
Well, it is huge for me because my biggest problem in coaching is to find time to spend on some of the more technical, I shouldn't say more technical, but some of the events which you can only do one at a time. So for example, a jumper, you know, you're not going to have 3 jumpers jumping all at the same time. You know, you have one at a time, and so therefore it takes a long time to deal with 3 people, as opposed to sprinters who they're all going at the same time. So if you manage to discipline your vision, you can see, you know, more than one of them and so on. So I've always had a problem that I felt that I did not have the time to focus, especially on basic technique. And what Bridget has done this year is that she has really spent a lot of time improving the basic technique of the girls and guy who she's working with. And as a result, you know, yeah, I think the hurling results are going to be excellent this year. You know, and you know, and you know, I'm eagerly looking forward to the next couple of months when we see what happens.
So besides Simmons, Greaves, and McCarthy, who's the other person?
Hakeem Smith.
Yeah. Oh, he's back.
Yeah.
Coach, just one quick question. You mentioned you know, athletes staying in Jamaica and that trend kind of, you know, having started. You know, obviously, if an athlete's going to stay here, you know, there's 2 camps to choose between. There's, you know, the racers and the MVP. Yeah. Well, there's two big ones. How much do you consider like a rivalry between the 2 groups, and as far as the competition both on the track and then even maybe in the recruiting process, do you actively recruit people for MVP, or do you just, you know, take them as they come?
I personally don't do the recruiting, but there is well, if you see a kid who is extremely good based on his time, you know, he might not be good, he might not be that good, but he's running extremely fast. There is a very strong chance that you're going to have to fight racers to get them.
Not physically.
No. Go for it. You know, it is good that at MVP I don't place that much of an emphasis on getting those kind of athletes. So let's take somebody like Javon Francis or Michael O'Hara, whatever. While I'm not saying that I would never coach O'Hara or Francis, but what I will say that I am not going to recruit him so heavily that he's going to feel that I want to coach him. Right? I prefer when people come to people who I coach believe that they are lucky for me to be coaching them. You know, so therefore I take very little part in the recruiting process. Sometimes I have to go in and let somebody understand that we will welcome them and that they have a good thing to look forward to. But because of the approach that we have, we don't really have that many battles in terms of recruiting, because they will be going all out and we will ask them if they want to come to school, and they decide if they want to come to school, because everybody who we take pretty much has to go to school, you know. And so it's the potential is there though for some degree of fierceness, but I think we try to avoid it and try and depend on the good sense of the athletes and their parents for them to determine where they want to go.
Thank you, Coach.
Coach, I see you wearing blue. Is that a choice for champs?
No. My color at my school is maroon and gold. So you know, it's not Wolmer's.
Wolmer's.
Yeah,
and that's your choice.
No, that's not my choice to win. That's the school I support. You know, but you know, they're not going to do that well this year, I don't think. But hopefully Michigan will win tomorrow, and you know, but Calabar should win, and Erin Allen. You know, I mean, it will be difficult for them to win. They are very, very deep teams. To lose, sorry, difficult for them to lose.
Coach, you have an application process as well, or you just rely solely on recruitment?
No, well, the school has an application system. I mean, this school is has the widest choices in terms of studying options. You know, I mean, they have nearly 3 times as many degree options as they have over here. But so therefore, you'll have a lot of kids who come to school just because they want to study here. But of course, once you qualify and we're interested in you, then we'll give you the application forms. We kind of accelerate your acceptance into the school and so on, and you know, so it's. But a lot of people come and ask if they can be members.
I was telling you guys how there have been cases where it's pretty much an open.
Yeah, I mean, we almost everybody who wants to come here, we accept except those coming from other clubs. You know,
so probably still.
So I mean, if you come from races or whatever, we will not really accept you as a rule. But
I come from Grenada. So.
If you come from Grenada, then especially if your name is James.
He doesn't come in the record.
Yeah.
Really, really.